All right, everyone, let's start standing today. All right, so let's come to the top of our mat. Stand up nice and tall, please. Sorry, I had to plug the computer in there. So we're going to separate our feet about hips width distance. Remember, when we start standing, the goal is kind of postural awareness. We always take time to kind of tune into the body. So you start to feel your feet. You know, if you're laying, it's more relaxing, seated a little bit in the middle. And here it's more of that active start. So we want to start with the feet awareness and run up the body. So you just kind of notice what you're doing with your feet. I notice I lift my toes, my heels. The feet are designed to have this very intricate, complex relationship with the floor. I need little muscles, bones, stabilizers. And that's one of our majesties of yoga is it's barefoot exercise. And that can really change a lot within our back, our legs, how we walk. So let's start with that. And then we do want to turn the body on, right? So engaging your legs a little bit, engaging the butt a little bit, lifting the core a little bit. These muscles, the perineum, the pelvic floor, we want to squeeze. Okay, kind of roll your shoulders back and down, even shake them out. And then it's like there's a string right on the crown of your head and someone pulls the string up, okay? You can lengthen the back of your neck, head back in space a little bit. And then just close your eyes. Start to feel the sensations of the body. If you're just joining, we're at the top of our mat. We're just connecting to our posture. And I mentioned earlier that we're going to try to relate yoga, make it very practical. So say you go on your morning walk. What are a few strategic, intentional exercises you can do that have great purpose and effect? Just adding to your morning walk. Really good stuff here. Okay, so let's take a nice big inhale. Big exhale. If you're just joining, we're staying at the top of our mat. We get some postural awareness. And now we're starting our breath work. Bigger inhale. Go big with the breath, guys. Come on, get there, fill up those lungs. Big exhale, try to exhale much deeper than normal. Don't forget the 3-part of breath. As you inhale, you're expanding the abdomen, the side abdomen, the middle ribs, and then the upper chest and back, even the shoulders lift. And then as you exhale, you feel all those parts of the thoracic and abdominal cavity. So you're developing the directional breathing. You notice if you're a chest breather, bring it more into the abdomen. Notice if you're abdominal breather, bring it more into the chest. Notice if you're a front body breather, try to bring it into the back body, okay? Notice if you're straight front and back, bring it to the sides more. It's subtle, guys, right? None of this stuff is easy, especially these subtle practices. At least picture it mentally as you're doing it, the body expanding more complete. Okay. All right, nice big inhale. So today in class, we will start with more of what we call like a kriya practice, nice light repetitive movements, more based in strength, but movement practice, okay? So say you're on your morning walk and you wake up, you might want to stop for a moment, lie on your feet, and do what's called air squatting. Now I'm going to add the push, the pull for the arms. So we start to activate the front and the back of the shoulders and the arms, okay? So nice inhale, I start to bend my knees as I reach my arms forward and up. And as I exhale, look how I pull the elbows down by the sides and back. And notice the hips. I bring my hips forward, I posterior tilt, and I lift the chest, okay? Inhale, squat. Exhale, hip thrust. Inhale, arms forward and up, turn those shoulders, arms on. Exhale, turn the back on. Just try to keep the weight into the heels a little bit more, okay? Inhale, exhale. So just do a few more. Pretend like you're on your morning walk. I'm just trying to give you a sequence today of a few exercises. There's tons we could do. But just to look at a little bit more of how your muscles work fundamentally, the 3 planes of your movement work, because walking can be very linear, stiffening, hardening. So adding a few exercises to your morning walk, really powerful, okay? So you're doing your squats, all right? Then maybe you stop your walk. I'm going to keep moving forward because we're making it gentle. Bend your knees, and then you start a little bit of this, okay? And notice, I made it very gentle. This is one of my classic movements for my gentle class. Look how I start soft. Look how I get into it a little bit more. I bend my knees, my arms are swinging a little bit more aggressive. Depends on how you're feeling, of course. And then look at this. I kind of even step my feet and pivot, and my arms are bent. I'm really twisting my torso. But be easy, because we're not like jamming into full range. We just want to remember that our spinal joints are meant to rotate on top of each other. And say we don't do it enough, or we're always rotating one way, we want to just, it's kind of like joint maintenance is what I call it, where we're just kind of looking at how our joints work and moving them in that way, okay? Another nice thing you can do on your morning walk, after you're kind of warmed up, right? You build that morning heat. See how I bend the knees? And now I take my first lateral movement. Notice my head doesn't move and my feet are wide. So our body moves in twisting, it moves forward and back, and it moves side to side. Those are our 3 planes of movement. All right, so look at that. Big hip tilt, that's called our lateral tilt. The pelvis is dipping down side to side, a hip hike, okay? Remember that the deepest lower back muscles on those hip hikers, they call it. And as we walk, the pelvis tends to do this. It hikes up when we walk and down. Say a little bit, I'm exaggerating a little. So just kind of bringing yourself through this movement, it's really powerful, okay? And then you can add on, so you just bring your hips in a big circle. Notice my knees bend, my head is still kind of still, and as you get warmed up, you can add the head. You know, guys, remember that the more complex you bring your movements, the more risky it is for injury. You know, a lot of yoga instructors will base the entire sequencing and how they instruct based on safety, right? Like, let's avoid injury at all costs. Let's take minimal risk, and that's really not what life is like. I want to teach us to get better at approaching risk, because that's what life like. Oh, you never do anything alinear, and then you do it in the kitchen. That's how you hurt yourself. You almost have to practice teaching your body strain, force in asymmetrical, stress-like, risky positions. We got to train our body to be strong, all right? And we can't be too trapped in a small box, because the body is so complex. Make sure you went both directions, right? Now, I'm going to keep going. So we go back to our first plane. So it's practicing bending over. I'm going to start straight leg, okay? If you're just joining, we're going through some movements that you can add to your morning walk today to make yourself a little bit more well-rounded. Okay, so hands on your hips, feet about hips width distance. Now this starts I call it hip hinge, hamstring tensions. Now bend the knees, keep your spine tall, roll the shoulders back, and let's take a nice inhale. We're gonna lean forward. Now here's where I bring my weight in my toes. Now look at my hips in relation to my heels. Watch me, guys. My knees are bent. Now look at my hips, they're back. See how they're over the floor. I wanna try to bring my hips forward over my heels. And then I'm going to come back up. I want to pull the belly and squeeze my pelvic floor and bring my hips forward, okay? Inhale, I'm going to shift forward into the toes. Notice I'm not cramping my toes too much. Exhale, back up. I'm going to lift the core, squeeze the butt, engage the thighs. So you're on your morning walk. You're going to do a few of these. You stop, okay? It is important, guys, to slow down and feel the strength, the tension. This is hamstring tension, and if you think of tension strength, it's, say you have a rope, they're hamstrings, right? And it runs up the back of your body, but you're bending forward, anterior tilting, and you're lengthening that rope, right? So you're putting tension on, like how strong is the rope before it snaps? That's called like tension strength. That's different than compression strength. So you want to slow down and let that strength build as the rope lengthens, and then slowly come back up, shorten the rope, and then squeeze and tense it, like to strengthen that compression strength more. So just to show you, there's 2 types of strength there. The top is like compression strength, and the bottom, the bottom is tension strength. Okay, so please remember that there's 2 sides there. Don't overemphasize one of them. Okay, and then stand back up, shake it out a little bit, yogis. And then what we're going to do is just do the second style, which is a little bit more free. You can inhale your arms up now. Exhale, take time to feel forward bend. But I don't want you to necessarily hold just yet, okay? Nice strong core. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend back over, okay? Up and down. If you want a little bit more, as you exhale, you bring your arms up and over. As you inhale, you reach your arms up. Exhale, arms up and over as you forward bend. Okay, so another nice move here. We're gonna just do a few more yogis, not many today. We'll do our balance. We're gonna make our way down soon. I do want to give you a little bit of a nice shoulder movement as well, and we do want to look at your calves, your ankles as well. So just a few more movements standing. Remembering that bending over and standing back up is one of the most functional practices you can do. It's one of the main ways we hurt ourselves. So we want to develop the ability to do it. And it's a great way to move the blood, right? So you're flushing blood to the brain, moving the blood in that direction. If you're going upside down, it flushes toward the brain, you're standing back up. So we're moving all those the blood to the upper body parts. Okay, let's stand up, guys. Shake it out. Now just watch those heels. Say you're on your walk. Always good to do a couple calf raises. See how I lift those heels and put them down. Okay, a couple more. Remember that the soleus is the main muscle that's going to pump blood back up the legs and lymph too, right? So they literally call this muscle the second heart. It's in the lowest part of your calf, right next to under your Achilles. So, walking can be a very limited range, make the ankles very tight. So don't forget to do your calf raises, making sure the ankles aren't getting too stuck, okay? Ankle stretch, feet about hips width distance, just rolling the outer edges of the feet, stretching the outer ankles. Take 3 to 4 breaths here. Just maintain posture, yogis. Make sure you stand up nice and tall, okay? Hopefully you're feeling a stretch here. We have this bone called the malleoli. It's that pointy bone we all have on the outer ankle. We're kind of bringing the outer edge of the foot down and away, lengthening that space, okay? Now shake that out a little bit. All right, and then you're walking, right? A few more here. Look how I roll the shoulders back and down. So the arms can get just like this, right? We're walking. Look at the minimal movement. Let's move the arms a little bit more in our morning attempt to kind of stimulate, flush, and wake up the body, get the blood flowing. So just a couple of these scapular rolls. Sometimes we go up and down. Sometimes we go forward and back. But I'm putting it right into that kind of more complex. So a nice shoulder roll here. Go opposite direction. So I call it shoulder roll, but it really is more of the scapula. Our arm bone, this is the shoulder joint. So there's no real actual shoulder joint action, but the whole shoulder is moving in space. It's more of what we call scapula, this big bone in the shoulder blade area, right? And then I would take it maybe right from the scapula to the arms so I could go wide. Just take some nice arm circles. So, say you're even walking, right? You can even do like some walking with arm circles. Just to move the arms. They're nice and still, all in bed, and maybe you get back home, you're gonna sit. We wanna move the shoulders, the arms. So ideally, we start slow or smaller. That's gonna turn on some of those arm muscles, give us some strength, and we gradually build up the size of the circle. Take some deep breaths, feel your body, please. All right, and then make sure you go the opposite direction. I start again a little smaller. I'm breathing deep. Your shoulders are gonna burn, right? That's strength. That's why I love things like this, because you're gonna make the flexibles stronger, but you're gonna reduce what's called like muscular resistance, like imbalance. If you're not familiar with muscular resistance, the more your arms are down here, the more difficult it goes here, because muscle resistance, certain muscles from this repetitive pattern will resist your ability to go here, like your body's fighting against itself. So it's like a lot of times you see people who can't get flexible, it's because of muscle resistance. It's not actually because of, it's like a certain muscle group is resisting that mobility, okay? So we did some arms, right? Nice and easy. Another nice one we can always do is this. I'm not gonna do it today, but you're more than welcome. Remember this one of my all-time favorites. Let's bring it up to the neck. You stop on your walk for a minute, and always good to kind of move your neck a little bit. Okay, so I'm just starting nice and slow, small, and I'm just taking some nice neck circles. Okay, and I'm not forcing range of motion here. Too often in yoga classes, I see people, I say neck circles, and they're instantly going down to like the deepest range. It is your spine, and it's the most complex movement for your spine, really. And the neck, it rarely moves. It's the same reason like your wrists will hurt in yoga, because they don't bear weight enough. We can teach them to do that, but you want to do it slowly. You don't want to just bear, crazy weight in your wrist. That's how they start to hurt or get injured. small doses. So if you don't normally move your neck in its most complete free range, start slow, guys. You know, start slow, build up the range. When you feel pain, back off 1/4 inch and stay there. Close your eyes and breathe. And work on being kind to your neck as you're increasing range, okay? All right, so you're done there. Take a moment. Now, I did want to show you one more thing. We did one twist, right? What's another nice way you can add a twist into your walk? Because that's really important to keep the core healthy. Now, one nice way here, yogis, say I'm walking. Watch me. I can bring my hands just in front of me. See how I intertwine my fingers? As I walk to the front of the mat, as I step my right foot forward, I twist to the right. Look at this. As I left, twist left. You can do it like this too, but I just given you, some, they call it like closed chain where the arms get sturdy. So your hands kind of intertwine. Look at this. Right foot forward, left foot forward. So whatever foot goes forward, I just add a little twist. You see that? Now watch me show you from the front. Left foot forward, twist left, right foot forward, twist right. So it's like a little core work. You see that? It's a really nice way, say you're training for a sport. Something we do is called this karaoke. It's this twisting. See how my hips twist left, my upper body twist right? I've had you do it like this, where we step back in a lunge and we twist. It's a little bit more of a strengthening twist as opposed to this. So you can see we took a nice light one, and then it's a little bit more like, it's a fantastic way to really add a twist to your walk. Very simple. Don't forget that one. Okay. Now I shake it out here, lean back a little bit, lift the knees. It's always good on your walk to do a little high knees. See this? Where I kind of thrust. I've had you do this thing, the marching in place, a lot. Let's say you're on your walk. You want to add a little bit of this. It's really good to turn on the butt and the hip flexor. A couple of these as you walk. That's really good. Okay. One last thing. We're going to make our way back down to the ground. Oh, I lied. 2 last things. So is the lunge. We want to remember that lunging is like walking, and it's fundamental for legs. So I'll teach you this one. I like this one. Instead of stepping forward, we tend to lean forward. I'm going to step back because we tend to have a little better form. So as I inhale, my left leg steps back, my arms go up, and as I exhale, it's good posture. It's squeezing of the butt, lifting of the chest. Okay, inhale. So you're taking your morning walk, you stop, and you do a couple lunges. You're also obviously welcome to walk to the front of your mat in lunges. But like I said, what I see a lot when I've worked with people privately, I do the back lunge because this is what I see. When we do step forward lunges, people go like this. I'm exaggerating a little. So when you step back, your weight's going back more, okay? Now, I showed you a different variation, but it looks like this, right? You tend to lean back more, keeping your weight stacked. So that's why I'm choosing the step back, okay? So that looks pretty good, everyone. We're maintaining core awareness, using breath. Remember that the goal of yoga was to create yoga, which means union. Basically, more self-awareness, many levels. And then the physical part is one level, but we don't want to remember to step in the moment, make it meditative, mindful and present, connect to the body, observing the mind and the emotions throughout the practice. The yogis talk about how the exercises stimulating the physical body in certain ways stimulates certain mental and emotional patterns in the subconscious. So we are unraveling layers of ourself through this, okay? Now, our last standing exercise, this is a really good one. And it's unlike anything we've done so far. So this is our last movement, a couple trees. We're gonna start pretty much stretching after this, okay? So watch me here. Now, it starts like this with my knees bent. I step my right foot in front, I turn the toes in, I step my right foot back, I turn the toes out. So say you're on your walk and you just stop. What we call this is like the pivoting. Notice how my feet are turned away from each other. And then I step in front, the toes turn toward each other. So in essence, you're doing this. You could actually do it like that too. Another one is where we walk pigeon-toed. And then we walk like, is this the pigeon-toed? And then we walk like this. So I think pigeon-toed is the feet in, okay? And then this is the feet out. People actually instruct you to walk like that, right? A lot more people than not, it's actually like this because we have this compensation. But I kind of am just going like this. Foot in, foot out, foot in, foot out. And what that's going to do is take care of all that pivoting we actually do on the feet. Because once again, walking is very linear. Obviously, we all should be walking a lot, but if walking becomes our sole form of exercise, you know, the body is going to tighten up a lot, and we want to be more well-rounded in how we approach the body, okay? Make sure you do your second side. I'm here, and then I'm here, okay? I step in front, turn the toes in, I step back. Now, I've done it where we kind of shift weight, and then there's the one where you don't shift weight. I'm kind of moving a little faster. That looks good, everyone. It's just little maintenance for those joints, okay? The spiral lines, we have these muscular fascial lines that wrap the arms, right? They move like this. They move in rotational patterns, supination, pronation. So we want to make sure we have exercises focusing on those ranges of motion. We don't want to get too stuck in certain habitual lines, okay? So shake it out, guys. Very nice job with your movement practice. If you'd like, on the end of your walk, always adding balance, right foot on the inner left shin, hands in prayer for extra strength. Let's reach our arms out. Let's do our tree pose. Weight in the heel a little bit more. Lift the core a little bit, squeeze your pelvic floor. Now, let's breathe. If you're getting good at it, please close your eyes. Get outside your comfort zone. The progression of basically any exercise is adding more unstable into eyes closed, right? So eyes closed will create different insight and perception. You start by just closing one eye, then squinting both eyes, barely eyes open, and then closing both. It's odd, but you know, you almost want to fall, yogis, okay? There's a brain state called critical brain where the brain like fires completely. So a good way to do that is basically falling, okay? It's almost like a short burst of like the unknown, the uncomfort, the fear, okay? So second side, give it one of these here, guys, one of those, just shake it out, okay? And second side, left foot on the inner shin and the arms up. Just notice you get kind of lazy in the hips, right? We kind of get like this. Just try to push down through your right heel foot and lift up. So I'm rooting down, but I don't want to be like too heavy here. Use that lifting and reaching up to kind of counterbalance that grounded heaviness. Okay. Last few breaths. Yeah, you're supposed to fall, guys. You know, if you're not falling, it's funny, but you got to find a way to fall. Like, close your eyes. Okay? If you can hold this the whole time, or if you notice your mind wandering in it, because that's what I love about balance. Look at this. You go in here, boom, you are present. It grabs your attention here. That's called yoga. You know, becoming more present here, not, you know, being able to control where your attention is. Okay? Okay, now shake it out here. Now, I'll relate it to walking today, but we always want to learn to turn our feet on. We did calf raises. So at the end of calf raises, on your walk, see how I lift my heels, I bend my knees? You take just a couple steps in your walk with your heels lifted. You're walking on the ball, the mound of the foot, okay? I remember seeing some stuff in myology where there's some evidence how where they believe humans are going to evolve without toes because basically we don't use them, right? So they're kind of less needed in the DNA, that type of body. So the toes keep getting smaller, and they actually do provide a lot of, as we activate toes, certain muscle activations run up how we stabilize the back and the core, and particularly what's called your pelvic tilt, this. It's really important that we kind of keep activating the toes. I mean, imagine how different your arms would work if your fingers stop. You know, the fingers you can feel all the way up in your shoulders if you wiggle your fingers. And it's the same with the toes. So we want to find ways to work on the toes in a good way, especially if you're wearing shoes, lift those heels and take a few steps. So that moving balance is a nice way, okay? So let's keep going here, guys. Give it a little shake. We're gonna start to make our way down to the ground now. Nice job in your standing walking series. Let's step up to the front, take a big inhale. Now, go slow. If you need your blocks in front of you, that's a good idea. Start with the knees bent, hands on knees or hands on blocks. Some of us can take hands to the floor. Try to soften the back of the neck. Let's take a few sways side to side. Always adding deep breath to practice. This is breath practice more than it is, exercise, okay? Big inhale. Let's take it back to tabletop on the exhale. Let's do our cat-cow here. Inhale, arch the back, lift the chin. Exhale, round the spine, tuck the chin. Remember to add side-to-side movements and kind of dancey, feel it out, right? You don't always move forward and back, even though you might do a few right down the front back, squeezing a little tighter, and then you kind of just get out of those lines. As much as this is an analytical science, it's a creative art. As I like to say, art is the ultimate science. It's like philosophy precedes the science, the creativity. We have to think creative into the unknown to create, what science will analyze. So we have to kind of make sure we have the two sides of the brain, the analytical, the more logical, and then the more artistic and creative. Include both sides of us, okay? They literally are two sides of us. Let's not be stuck on one side. Downward dog, guys. Tuck toes. Calf stretch, feet stretch. Just a few breaths. Main goal is inversion, though. Try to let the head hang. Deep breath. Try to breathe in and out the nose and direct the breath right into the eyes. So as you inhale, now directional breathing into the eyes, into the frontal lobes. Come on, breathe, yogis. This is bringing the head below the heart and the hold. You're supposed to get upside down every day. And if you have to pick one, if you can do headstand or shoulders, headstand probably the one. This would be two. If you can't do any of those, legs up the wall or child pose. Child pose is fantastic. It's going to bring blood flow into the front of the brain, the eyes. Okay? All right, so we are thinking stretching a little bit more. And I am going to do one last power thing we haven't done in a while. Okay? Big inhale. We're going to drop down to the knees and just sit on the heels for a moment. We stretch the ankles in the back and stretch the ankles in the front. So nice side stretch here, sitting on the heels. If you can't sit on the heels, sit on a block. If you can't do that, just sit cross-legged, swing your legs around. Right hand goes down, big inhale, left arm goes up. Always important to remember to stretch our side body. So a lot of times when I'm walking, I might be standing. I'll just kind of go like this. We do this one a lot. Or I'll even bend the elbow and reach the elbow up. So you can do that seated as well. You can take that top hand and reach it down. Notice how I lift the elbow up. You get quite a different stretch, actually. Okay, and then we'll take our second side. Try to stay on those heels. Kind of getting two things done here at once. All right, guys, so you're going to release there. You're going to come forward, shake your heels out. So a lot of times in the gentle yoga, we'll do like a set of push-ups. I want to continue to make sure you guys are getting strength. So a nice way to try, let's try like a light plank pose today. Some people think being on your forearms is easier. So easiest would be something like this. See how I start in tabletop? I walk my hands forward, and then I just bring my hips more down, and I lift my feet. This is literally the easiest probably we can find here beyond tabletop. You might want to go like this. This might be a little bit more. See how I go lower. Just notice my hips aren't here. Here, okay? Or look at this. I tuck my toes. I lift my knees. Let's just do a good 30, 45 seconds here. That looks good, everyone. And obviously, you can do regular plank. If you feel like you want to do a couple push-ups, let's bring a little bit of upper body weight bearing. Yeah, doggies, the way I am literally reading another book. It's called The Body Electric right now. It's a tough read. It's like a very scientific book. And it's all talking about the bones. You know, the bones usually are considered not that interesting in anatomy. And it's very, you know, not true. The bones are living tissue that, you know, the bones are basically, you know, they really have true regeneration. You know, your bones break and then it builds. The old bone where it breaks doesn't rebuild, but it builds new tissue from the periosteum, from the marrow. It'll build new cartilage, which will turn into bone in that break. And the way we're going to stimulate bone building is stimulating like basically weight, like compression or bending the bone, shear strength or tension strength. Shear strength mainly and compression strength, right? If you know how the bone is, the matrix, the long bone, can't remember the word right now, but these long bone fibers, and they have like the crystalline in between. We want to bear weight on those bones and kind of hold it. We're not doing it that much on our arms. Let's do it here, okay? All right, guys, let's take it down to the chest. Looks like most of you are done. Either one of these, in case you 10-step in those last few poses, down dog, sitting on the ankles, and plank. Now let's take a stretch. The Sphinx. We're gonna hold this a little bit longer, please. Elbows under shoulders, shoulders back and down. This is what we're always gonna do in gentle yoga. Press your pubic bone down, press your feet down. Lift the navel, pull the abdomen longer, lift the chest. Relax a little bit now. Close your eyes. Deep breathing, abdomen, middle ribs, chest, lower back, middle back, upper back, side bodies. If this is too much, yogis, here. If it's easy, you want to go a little higher here, but just notice, my elbows are bent, wrapping around toward my ribs. My shoulders are back and down. I have to engage my legs more here. Drive my pubic bone down more, okay? I'm creating length through the body. I'm not just using my arms to bend the spine. I see it all the time in yoga, you know, it's, people do like Cobra, you know, and they just don't even do it close to what we're trying to do. You know, you see people doing yoga for years, including myself. I was doing yoga for like 10 years. I still could not do Cobra, even though I got the idea that it's to activate our back muscles and to lengthen the whole body. It's very difficult, okay? Much easier to do for the average person in Sphinx. With practice, more range, but same thing, maintaining length, back muscles activation. Not only upper back, but glutes, even lower back. Okay, now big inhale here. And exhale, let's take it down to the ground. Now we are gonna do that chest stretch. I'm gonna make sure we do this one regularly. All right, so we're down on our chest. Look at this. I want you to reach your right arm out. Everyone's a regular today, you know it. Directly out to the side, palm down. Press to your left hand, roll to your right. Couple breaths here. Try to relax the head down. Reposition your hips and your legs if you need to. Notice my knees both bent. Now, if it's easy, watch me here. Second variation, arm bends. So it's 90 degree, elbow as high as the shoulder, press palm, elbow down, roll to the right. I personally tend to do this one a lot more. When I first started yoga, this one used to hurt like you know what for me. My elbow, my shoulder, so tight. So I used to do this one always, pretty much. I started doing this one now, and pretty much more often than I do this one. You don't have to do this one. You stay with the first one. You work towards this one, okay? Breathe, yogis. Last couple breaths. Remember, it's a chest, upper body stretch, so try to direct the breath a little bit more toward that area. As you get more into it, that top leg's opening. It is more of a hip stretch too, waist. Add more abdominal breathing as you get into it, and the shoulder starts to release, exposing more of that tension in the line. Okay, take your time, right? Let's come back to center when you're done there. Now, second side, here's a different view for you guys. Left arm out, push to your right hand, and roll to your left. Right foot might kind of reach behind you. The head has to relax on the floor. I can't see all you guys well. So head has to relax on a block, on the floor. Maybe you need to slide a pillow or a blanket into there. Remember, the arm is trying to reach out. We want space. It's not like this, yogis. Some of you's got this thing going on too. Try to relax the shoulder down. Bring the elbow out, palm out, okay? Couple more breaths here. Looks good. Remember that we're always trying to reduce fidgeting, guys. I see a lot of yous. The initial fidgeting is okay, but try to remember we're working towards reducing unnecessary movements. Okay. Now, we're kind of just on our own, right? Our next posture is good old child pose. So press your butt to your heels. I like to widen the knees. Now, I mentioned using child pose as an inversion. So if I was going to use child pose for an inversion, I would actually bring my knees, thighs together. And I bring my forehead on the mat and my arms down by side. Let's call this traditional child pose or inversion child pose. So this keeps the heart higher, okay? As soon as I bring my knees wide, my heart goes lower, and I have to be a little bit more like my chin with my arms forward. So if I'm using it to like stretch, I'll bring my knees wider, let my abdomen drip through my thighs, bring my heart lower, and it's more like my chin and my nose are kind of squished down. If I'm using it for inversion, remember, bringing your head below your heart, increasing blood flow into your scalp, brain, dura mater, eyes, side of the brain, back of the brain, ears. It's a certain part of wellness practice, just like cardio, just like stretching, just like meditation. Inversion is a category that you want to add every day. So easiest, 3-minute child pose. Deep breathing does the job. Try to go 5 minutes if you can. Stronger would be dog, like I mentioned. Third would be something like legs up the wall, headstand, handstand, okay? So most of this, you're still holding position, and I'd like you to just kind of hold as long as you want. If you want to add something like crawling your hands over to a side, some of you are doing that variation. You can add something like that. Last few breaths. Okay, now big inhale. You're on your own. Some of you are still working side to side. That's what I like to encourage. I don't want you to follow me exactly. I want you to kind of find space, spend extra time in postures your body's calling for, okay? We're gonna come back up to tabletop. Now, since we're gonna stay with inversion, we're gonna do this little wrist stretch, and then it's pretty much seated practice from here on out. So last two things here. I'm just gonna walk my hands a tiny bit forward. I'm gonna widen my knees, and a big inhale, right arm goes high. And thread the needle, it's called. Right arm underneath, right shoulder, elbow, head down, relax my left arm. This is the inversion I use in my own inversion practice. Literally, the side of the head, the ear, becomes low point. Deep breathing, increasing that blood, that energy redistribution throughout the side of the brain. Just use gravity to help the process. When I do inversion practice, I usually start down dog or headstand, okay? Hold, as long as I have 3-8 minutes, somewhere in there. And then it's like to a gentle version. Usually thread the needle right after. Rest. Take weight off my shoulders. Continue flowing blood into the brain, but bring it to a different spot. Then it's usually like swing around shoulder stand, bring blood flow into the back of the brain, or propped up on a block, legs up the wall. And then down dog, and then usually child pose to end. So that's my inversion practice. Top of the skull, side of the skull, back, forehead twice, down dog, and child pose. Child pose for me a little bit more like really front face, down dog more like here. Okay, so you see that. So let's come back up, big inhale, right arm high. Goal is to hold that, yogis. Keep the blood flow in the brain, right? Left arm high, big inhale. Let's take the thread, the needle. Close your eyes, try to relax a little. Again, if you're doing inversion practice and we're holding this for about a minute, you want to get comfortable. So, a little adjusting, find the sweet zone, as I like to call it. You're looking for that sweet spot where you can rest, let the blood flow go into the brain, add the breath work, the stillness. So if you would like to add an inversion practice, a gentle way, short down dog, then hold child pose, front. Forward bend, you can hold Uttanasana, reaching for your toes, let your head hang, that's top of the brain. Legs up the wall, or a bridge, restorative bridge back of the brain. Thread the needle side of the brain. Boom, you have a well-rounded inversion practice, okay? This can be a tough one for people too, and because you're here, your hips are over your knees, so let's slowly come up, left arm high. So let me just show you an easy variation. The easiest variation there is like this, child pose. It's basically child pose with the thread of the needle, and you see how the side of the head's down? That's actually the easiest way to do that. There's actually like the full variations where we do legs up, it's called fallen angel, where you're kind of like this. We hold this. Now, obviously, that's not gentle, but just to show you that's that same, we always have the power versions of it, inversion, and then we have the gentle. Okay? Very nice job with your inversions. Let's shake it out a little bit. Last little thing here, our wrist stretching. If there's another one you want to do, that's fine. Let's turn our fingers toward our knees. Let's get into those wrists, fingers, hands. Look at that, a little leaning forward and back. My fingers are facing my knees. Another view here, guys, is the crease of the elbow forward. Again, I like this because the wrists don't bear weight ever, which makes them weak. I have a woman who's coming to my class. She broke her wrist like a year ago. It can get kind of scary coming off of an injury. It can hurt. Your wrist hurts, so that's you get scared of that pain, or it's just kind of like you think it's a signal to be easy on it, but then we kind of are too easy on it. And the way we build stronger body, like I mentioned, is bearing weight. So I like to do this, like put weight on our wrist and actually stretch it, okay? Fingers forward, turn the fingers inward toward each other. Take a couple breaths here, okay? So eventually, your fingers almost start to turn toward the body, but in no way do you have to force that. So that's a meter rotation, it's called. Okay, you might feel a nice stretch on your elbow or even on the outer wrist. What happens is we have this action, it's called ulnar deviation, radial deviation. So the wrist moves side to side. It's something we don't really do enough in yoga, right? And this is a nice way to start pulling the outer hand away from that wrist, because in yoga, we get that kind of outer wrist pain. All right, it's a nice way to stretch there, okay? Sit back, shake it out for a moment. And then my all-time favorite here is the fun one, the back of the hand down. Notice how the palm flipped up and the knees, the hands are facing the knees here. Okay, if it hurts, hand close to the knee. If it's easy, hand further, or do both sides at once. Try to straighten that elbow. See how it starts bent? Right elbow straightens, roll the crease forward, and lean back a little bit. Just take a couple breaths there, please. Yeah, palm is face up, fingers face the knees. All right, so you're here. It's very simple. The reason people yoga is a lot of your wrist, right? We're not used to being on the floor, weight bearing on our hands. Unless you get down, you do a few push-ups or do a plank hold, and it's still minimal. Yoga will make your wrist stronger, but it's not an easy process. Strengthening is not easy, all right? All right, so shake that out, second wrist down. Looks like some of you are already done. You did both sides. Just, wait for the group. We're gonna basically be stretching from here on out. How much time we got left here? Nice. About 15 minutes left. We'll take a nice 10-minute stretch and then a nice 5-minute meditation. Okay, so you're doing your left wrist, the back of the hand is down. This one could be rather intense, but remember, normally that's a sign that you do need it. That's not avoid all the stretches that make us a little uncomfortable. Okay, so when you're done there, guys, let's swing it around and bring our legs forward. Nice job with your stretching your table position, downward facing. Now let's switch it up. So I'm going to do the sukasana today. If you prefer, then your back do your figure four, or your pigeon posture here. Okay. So take your right shin in front of your left. This is very classic gentle yoga. Remember that this is bilateral, and it's basically what that means, doing both sides at once, where the thread of the needle is like one-sided, okay? Thread the needle really is first, and then this is second, okay? So right shin in front. Notice how I flex the feet. I crawl the feet out a little bit. I could take my blocks under my knees. I'm gonna root those sit bones down, sit up nice and tall, and then I'm gonna walk those hands forward. And then I really wanna directional breathing, right? Where are we stimulating? Hips, lower back. Ooh, feel that today, sitting a lot the last few days, right? So I start to breathe into those hips. A few more breaths here, please. Yeah, try not to round the spine too much. That's why I tend to go towards thread the needle first and say that's like primary, because when we do the thread the needle, look at my spinal posture. It's long, it's not rounded. You have good spinal posture, okay? As soon as we sit up and start to go forward, we start to go here. That's not wrong, it's a different type of stretch, but just so you're aware, in case you're like this, try to lift up, go forward, then the spine can round a little bit, okay? Let's sit up nice and tall. Let's shake those legs out. I like to add a little bit of this. I'm literally stomping the back of my legs down. It's kind of like if a massage therapist goes something like this. Really good stuff. Okay, second side, left shin crosses. Some of you still kind of flop here, and you go here. Make it more conscious. You know, if you're trying to do siddhasana, it looks like this. So it's like the top of my shins down, my heels face up, and stacked in front, top of my feet are down, and I forward fold. You actually want to get your first heel right under perineum. So I've had you do that where you sit with the ball, tennis ball in the perineum, and that's how we do it in yoga. I'm instructing what's called sukasana, not siddhasana. Shins cross, flex feet, sit up. Go ahead. Deep breathing, please. All right, big inhale here, please. Very nice job. You're gonna sit up, release the legs, and we're gonna slowly make our way down to our back. Option here, start with a nice full body stretch. Always good to add a lot of this in. And, you know, all these are regulars, you know, I add a lot of things where we're reaching to the back, crunching, we're reaching to the back, stretching, bringing knees in. We always want to teach our body to lengthen, kind of, in a sense, undo what gravity's doing all day. Okay, your pace. We'll bring the knees into the chest. Take a few moments to massage the lower back, to windshield wipe the knees side to side, to explore. Now, I am going to do this two parts here. So I want you to think the seated position with the crossed legs, it's more like an outer and a back line stretch, like the glutes, the buttocks. Now we're going to go twist in the front body stretch, okay? So bigger variation today. Left leg releases, right knee into chest. Give it a squeeze, okay? And then we're going to take that single leg twist. Now, I want to scooch my hips to the right, bring the knee over the hip, and bring my right knee across to the left. Okay, so right arm goes out, look right. Deep breathing here, guys. Okay, see if you can walk your left foot to the right on your mat a little. You might have to scoot your hips even to the right. Lengthen through that left heel. Nice deep breath. Now I mentioned two parts. So you're gonna stay in this position, and I want you to see it from the back side. Watch me here. I wanna roll, I wanna keep my legs the same. I just roll onto my left side, okay? I bring my right leg behind me and grab the right foot.
I want to rest my head on my arm and bend the heel to the butt, pull my lower abdomen in, and pull my knee behind me. So our objective is to bend the knee deep, to stretch the thigh, the quad, and maybe the hip flexor. If you could just peek up at me one last moment, here's you on your back. But look, this is what happens. I want you to pull your abdomen in, bring your hips, your pubic bone forward. Pull your knee back, your heel to your butt, push your pubic bone forward. Okay? Can't really see many is here, but you know what you're doing. You're trying to notice how your body compensates and activate it in a way to create certain muscles lengthening, releasing. It's called reciprocal inhibition. So when I cue you to activate certain things, not only is it a potentiation, but it's a reciprocal inhibition. Okay, if you know that terminology in the body. All right. Not only the potentiation basically makes it stronger, more supported, more complex and compound, the reciprocal inhibition is activating to release other things. Okay. When you're done, release to your back. That's 2 big stretches. Take a moment, both knees in the chest, a little neutralizing position. Just so we're clear, guys, this is basically our last thing. I'm going to do a little legs up in the air, and then we're going to meditate. So if there's any last thing you want to do, please do now. Okay, left knee into chest, right leg releases. You're here on your back. Now, what I want to do is release eventually that knee over the hip, scooch my hips to the left, my left knee goes across over to the right, so you're like this on your back. Now, what happens is that left leg, you're kind of like this. Try to walk what happens is we're actually like this. And you want to walk your right foot to the left on your mat, scooch your hips more, and then you're here on your back. Left arm out, look to the left to stretch our neck. No neck stretches, so get one in here. Deep breathing. Where do you feel the stretch? Breathe into that area. I love breath holding in the twist. My favorite time to add the breath hold. Yeah, you're getting longer through that right heel, right? That you feel the posture of the body on your back, on your side, okay? Now the second part here, you'll see it from the front, you're here right now, you're rolling your chest to the left, and now you roll your chest to the right. Pad the head, use a block of your arm. Reach your left leg more behind you, reach back behind you and grab the left leg. These are all postures you know, we just do them in a different order. Pull the ribs in, squeeze the heel to the butt, pull your knee behind you. Deep breathing, right? Like I like to say, guys, the best yogi is the best breather. I used to teach, they call it advanced yoga in Santa Monica at Power Yoga East. It's like a famous yoga studio, donation-based. And a lot of yoga teachers, you know, and I'd walk in and literally I'd be like, the best yogi is the best breather, down dog. I wouldn't even really say much else. I just let them have the introspection. But I remind them immediately that it's much more than exercise, that we're here to breathe and to focus. If your mind wanders, you stop breathing, bring it back to your intention. You know, control the mind, guys. Okay, control your thoughts, control your emotions. That's called yoga. When you're done, let's release. Okay, so listen, final pose. Let me demonstrate. I mentioned inversion. If you'd rather do bridge or ab work, you got 2 minutes. Legs up, or slide your block under your butt. Pelvis and legs up. Full body inversion in the gentle yoga. Pelvis lifted via the block, the pillow, and legs up the wall. You can even work pushing your feet off the wall, going here. There's full inversion. If not, legs up the wall. If you'd rather go big, you want to do a bigger inversion, that's fine. Here's our gentle practice. If you'd rather do bridge, restorative fish, ab work, that's fine. Last minute and a half, guys. I want to make sure I save a good 4 to 5 minutes. I've been cutting you too short on the meditative part of this class. A reminder before I forget, tomorrow's meditation class. Don't miss it. We're doing Shakhat. It's one of the main, there's 6 of them called the Shak Karmas. Kapalabhati's one. Shak Karma is the cleanser, okay? That's one. The Nauli's one where we hollow the abdomen.
The netis one, where you cleanse your nose. And then what we're going to do with the Chakat, it's like the purifier. It's one of the ways we purify the staring at the flame. You need a candle. Tomorrow is the meditation staring at a candle flame. It's really powerful in many aspects. I'm going to get more into the details of that tomorrow, but you'll need a candle because we're going to do like a 10-minute candle stare tomorrow. It's really awesome. So many deep kind of scientific, mystical, spiritual, elements there. So reminder, get a candle if you don't have one for tomorrow at 10 a.m. Class starts at 9 to 10, Hatha yoga, 10, 10:15, 10:20, meditation practice, okay? If some of you want to keep your legs up the wall for this final part here, you can. But Shavasana is reducing strain. We don't want you don't want any pain in the body. We want you to be able to relax. We've done a lot physically. You don't really need to do too much more for inversion. The legs up the wall is its own separate thing there, but if it's going to really irritate you, you're not going to be able to relax, I want you to just release, lay on your back. The main thing we say when you're setting up your Shavasana practice is get in a comfortable position. So not too much physical stimulation. We want to try to let the mind, the heart, the nerves, everything centers, grounds, and calms, just like we start practice. Okay, so when you're ready, let's start to make our way towards final position, comfortable position. Remember, you can take a couple deep breaths here, but we want to also relax our lungs. If you need to breathe deep during practice, Shavasana, you should have focused more on practice. You just had an hour to focus on intentional, full breathing. In the end here, I want you to be absent of action. It starts with physical. So you get comfortable. You're laying on your back for most of us. And you kind of just shake it out. You kind of fidget a little to optimize your comfort. Eventually, you commit. You make a resolution. Okay, I'm not going to move my body. Because the body, you're going to want to fidget, right? No, you have to commit. I'm not going to move. You have to make like a declaration. All right? And then you want to close your eyes and you take a breath or two. And then you have to consciously remember, I'm not going to breathe deep. I'm going to try to let my lungs relax. It's almost like you're not breathing. Your breath goes to the smallest natural state. Then you want to commit to relaxing your abdomen. Commit to relaxing your jaw and your tongue. The eyes is the next big one. Your eyes closed. Your eyes are going to want to move, open, fidget. Take control of your body. Set an intention to be still. Relax your eyes. Next is the mind. As thoughts come, see if you can step back, observe, be the witness, and just watch your thoughts pass. Like I said, I see it as a train. You stopped at a train stop. These cars come in front of your awareness, but then they just pass. You're the witness of the train. They just come and pass. Final meditation, relaxation. 4 more minutes, please.